we want to roast vegetables, and I selected broccoli because broccoli is a kid favorite. Side note, if you call it dinosaur trees, kids are 2 times more likely to select it, so there is something in the way you name it. But since you serve a lot of broccoli, we know how to steam the broccoli. Roasting broccoli is a great way to serve something twice in 1 week in a very different way. It also adds a completely different texture. Texture is very important. To get that crunch to it, it takes on a different flavor. Roasting vegetables does not take long, and it really makes an impact on your serving line. From the aroma in the kitchen to the way it looks on the line, it feels very different than steamed broccoli. We prep the broccoli exactly the same. So we have our florets, they're fairly uniform. As you know, when we steam the broccoli, we do not season until it comes out of the oven. When you're roasting vegetables, some seasoning is going to take place before you roast it. The rest will do as it comes out. When you roast, it is a dry cooking method. We're drawing out the moisture of the vegetable. Some seasonings are likely to burn if you season before you roast. Anytime you burn a spice, it's going to taste bitter. And bitter is not a flavor profile that is appealing to most of us. So before you roast, fat, whether that's oil or pan spray, some salt, and pepper. So in a mixing bowl, if you have a large mixing bowl, or use a solid hotel pan. And this is where, your 6-inch hotel pans can come in handy so that you can do a large batch at once. You're going to measure out, per your recipe, exactly how much oil is called for. So I've added my oil, and then salt. And we don't use a lot of salt in Slow Nutrition, and we always measure our sodium. However, it is an important detail in certain cooking methods, and roasting is one of those. It helps draw out the moisture. It's also going to help amplify any of the additional spices that we add at the end. But as you saw, you add a very small amount per your recipe. Make sure you're measuring. And then a little bit of black pepper. Flavor is important, and we already have a nice foundation of developing those flavors. Now, when you add your oil to broccoli, it may not feel like there's oil in this or on this because it wants to absorb in. The oil is here. As it's cooking, it will draw out, so don't feel like, well, the recipe may say this, but I need to add more. It has the exact amount that you need. Then you're gonna put it on a sprayed sheet pan. Don't line it with parchment paper. I've washed a lot of dishes in my day. I get that you don't want a lot of really dirty dishes. It's not going to be problematic not having the parchment paper, but the reason that you don't want it is because you'll get some great caramelization and flavor on the bottom of that pan that then as you put it into your serving container or you portion it, you're able to include with your roasted vegetables. Now, I'm doing this for a demo, so I don't have a full sheet pan. I want to show you how full you can have the pan. As long as it's in an even layer, absolutely it can touch. It will shrink some as it's roasting. What you don't want is it's piled on top of each other, because that's going to create a steaming effect versus roasting. Nice even layer. Cook this out the day before. Put it on a speed rack, cover it, have it in your walk-in cooler, and you're ready to roast the next day. Roasting is going to take a little bit longer than steaming does. You can roast at 350 degrees, you can roast at 425 degrees. Just keep in mind that your roasting time is going to be about twice as long because now we're doing a slow roast. A full pan of broccoli is going to take about 12 to 15 minutes to roast at 400 degrees. If we have it at 350, I'm going to check it after 15 minutes, probably put another 10, 12 minutes on it, and then it'll be ready to go. If you find around the exterior that it's getting crispier than the center of your pan, just agitate the pan when you're checking on it. Get a spatula, just have one over at your workstation. From the exterior, move that to the center, and then bring out what was in the center to your edges. And it's not going to be a lot of the pan. Really, you'll find it just around the corners. Another trick is your smallest pieces, start with those in the center and keep your larger ones. Yeah, because we have it uniform, but it's going to have some off pieces around the exterior, and a lot of times you don't even need to agitate. It's going to come out with these great little charred pieces that add great flavor, great crunch. It's a very unique way to serve broccoli in addition to raw with dip or steamed that students really love and enjoy. When it comes out of the oven, that's when we're going to add our additional spices. Granulated garlic, paprika are two of my favorites that are really simple to add to roasted vegetables, that add a little bit of color, they add some flavor, but we're going to add those as it comes out.